24 inches, and that's a pretty average fish for this river. Okay, you should be able to catch. If you go out on a day of fishing, you should be able to hook one of those in a 7-mile float. If you don't, you did something wrong. You can get them daily, every single day on this river, that size, every single day. But you got to be willing to commit to the one fly, big setup all day, and make 1,000 casts. And those 1,000 casts, you're going to have 5 or 6 opportunities. But here's the deal. When you get good at this, you can go home with 5 big fish like this in one day. And can you ever do that nymph fishing? It never will. It just won't happen. If it does, and you're paying somebody to fish their private park or whatever, because it just doesn't happen. So, but it does with streamers. And you know, the thing about this river is we can support this kind of fishing. You know, I think this river here is probably the best river for brown trout in the United States of America.
Which river are you speaking of?
The White River.
Okay.
The White River is probably the best. I mean, Michigan's got great water, but he'll tell you, their browns don't get as big as ours, and nobody else's does either. And you don't have to go to Argentina to have world-class fly fishing. It's right here. It's the way you got to approach these browns. And the only way browns are predatorial. They're mean fish. I mean, I got pictures here. We'll go through them. I've got browns that are this small, okay, hitting flies like this. Now, why are they doing that? I haven't had a 20-inch rainbow. Maybe I've had a few. But most of the rainbows you catch, they're going to be little bitty cookie cutters that hit these streamers. I've yet to have a big rainbow hit my streamers. It's always browns. So it's like, if you want to dial in browns, just throw streamers. Because that's the only thing that's really going to get on them. Like, who's fished the Norfork or the White? Okay, guess what, guys? I've never fished that river. I've been here 15 years. Darren and I went down there about, 3 weeks ago? And I said, you know what? I've never read on a forum or anywhere that I've seen people catch browns in that river system. It's all about rainbows, right? Because they're wild. They haven't been stocked since 1965. So a lot of people want to go there and fish it like for rainbows because they're kind of this whole thing. Well, let's go catch some wild rainbows. But I have not seen anybody go over there and just clobber brown trout on streamers. So we went over there and we spent 3 days. Okay, and we probably caught 40 browns on that river, and 6 of them were between 19 and 21 inches. And I don't think it's ever been done over there. And that just goes to show you that there's brown trout in that river system too. We only caught 2 rainbows in 3 days of fishing, and the rest were browns. And it was only because we were throwing streamers.
High water, low water.
We had 331 CFS, which is probably as low as that river could ever get. And we were in that. And literally how we fished that river was we had to really pinpoint where we threw flies. If we didn't do that, we just blind fished. See, in this river, it's real open. So when the water goes up, it's just open body of water. You can blind cast all day because there's not a lot of structure. When you get into structure, of course, you try to fish it just like you would bass, like a lake. So that's what we did. That was a real river. It tested our ability. It tested our accuracy. It made us have to really find out. There would be a shallow run, and then there would be one little spot you would think a fish would live. And that fish was there. And what's weird is like this river here, we fish just float, okay? And we'll just hit the banks, hit the banks, hit the banks until we get the hit, okay? But on that river, it's all about waiting. Like we would wait, and I would set up, and I'd see a spot I like, so I'd just hold my fly, and I'd wait, and I'd make that perfect cast, and then we'd pop it out of there. But that's what it took. It was a totally different river system because it's actually, to me, it's more of a real river. You know, it makes you think. You got to learn how to read water, you know, stuff like that. So, and the thing with these fish is like, these fish really hang in the front of shoals and they hang on the tail end of shoals, like big fish. They don't hang in the mouth. They're not right in the fast water. On that river they are, because it's probably different because they have to find food more than they do here. Because tailwaters have an abundance of food. And I'm not saying that creek doesn't, but I guarantee you they're probably starving because they had low water. They didn't see a lot. There wasn't a lot of rain. There wasn't a lot of runoff. So they were really dialing in. I mean, I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think we probably caught 60% of those brown trout in the stretch we fished in those 3 days. I think we choked it. Because we went back a day later, we only caught 3 browns, and I think it's because we gave them all a sore lip. I'm serious, because they weren't doing the same thing, but the first day we floated it, we were just, everything was coming out of the woodwork on it.
You're talking about it up in Missouri, not below.
Yes, right there in Tecumseh. Yeah. The Norfork here is a good little river too. I mean, it's storing some nice browns. And I think this Norfork, if you guys want to know a little bit, it's kind of coming back. The cutthroat are getting bigger. There's a little population of brook trout now. But that river got...
Oh, they put some more brooks
Oh,
in?
yeah, yeah.
Good. They used to have a lot of...
Well, I'll tell you, man, those bait guides, when those bait guides start talking and telling their friends where these fish are, they go in there and they just rob them. They just comb them out of there. And they can't do that anymore. See, the bait guides used to be able to keep their limit too. You can't do that anymore. And brown trout, I know you guys know, have gone up to 24 inches. You can't keep a brown now unless he's over 24 inches. That's good for the river, especially the white, because I'm telling you, in another 5 years, you know, those 24-inch browns are going to be average fish. It's going to be an average fish. I mean, when I'm in low water fishing the white now, I'm seeing pods of browns. I'm not seeing like 2 or 3. I'm seeing 15 to 20 hanging out together in sections of the rivers. That used to not be like that. And a lot of that has to do with high water we had for 2.5 years. Kept the pressure down, and now they put that slot limit in. And so that's all going to, you know, help the system too. One thing that I wish they would do is they would catch and release wildcat. That's probably the best stretch of river that we have on the White River for actual residential browns that live there and hang out there year round. And it's a bait hole, and that's not good because a lot of them like that area and they live there. And that's probably some of the best night fishing on the White River. I don't know if you guys night fish at all.
Where is it?
Wildcat Shoals.
Oh, yeah. Just down below.
I'll tell you why. I mean, I'm all over the place, so just bear with me. But it's because it has better current. The current there is better. The hole is deeper. So if you put in a wildcat, the boat ramp there, and you went around the bend, right around as that starts to bend, there's deep water there, and it's about 4 to 5 feet deep, and it's just good slack water, okay? It's got good current. It's good swinging water. That's what you need when you night fish, okay? You can't have water that's barely moving because you're not going to get a good swing in your line. It's just woolly booger fishing at night. That's all it is. Another thing, too, is, like, I'll float the rivers in high water and use this stuff, and we catch a lot of good browns. But, like the other day, I was fishing, and we went and scouted out some fish.
How deep are you fishing? Can you describe what kind of rig you're using?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can. Okay, so like there's a brown at night. We're throwing 8, 9 weights. Okay, and that's if we're going to chunk this stuff. Now, if you're going to night fish with single woolies, and that's what I was going to tell you, there's 2 ways to do it. If you're going to swing in dead water, you need to throw a little size 6 woolies. Okay, they don't like these big 2s and 4s. For some weird reason, these fish like size 6 hooks. Okay. I think it's just the average of what they see, what they feed on, and it's just about profile. To me at night, it's more about profile, and I think most things I see is about that big, okay? But, you know, you're changing up, like, you know, I throw a lot of black stuff, but I mix the body. So I'll throw black hackle, and I'll throw a black marabou tail, but I'll change the body from a crystal flash chenille to you know, dubbing flash, but I want a little flash in all my flies, not a lot. I don't incorporate any flash in my tails. I think flash can either make you or break you. So you either want a flashy fly or you don't. It's kind of like this thing I just made. You know, we started throwing streamers like dole patterns, okay? And then we started throwing these little bitty trailers, little flashy flies, just to see, you know, is flash really something that they'll key in on over this big fly? So it's just experimentation. Well, sometimes I'd hit that flash fly, never hit that dull fly. So then we started making these articulated big flash flies, you know. And in the sun, this stuff is insane. And it's ugly and it's gaudy, but that's what the fish want, you know. So that's what we do.
You putting any weight on those things?
No. About your setup stuff. See, I'll get to everything, I promise. It just will come